Imagine living your life after 50 and feeling energized and excited about your future. Welcome to the Women in the Middle podcast, the podcast for women who are ready to figure out what they want and create the life they deserve. Here's your host and master certified life coach, Susie Rosenstein.
Hey there, today's episode is a birthday reflection because it's my birthday month and I'm turning 63. I've been thinking about something that I want to share with you. It's the gifts of getting older that nobody really talks about. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast Women in the Middle with over 2 million downloads and counting. I am so grateful that the podcast world has brought us together. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Susie Rosenstein, your master certified coach, midlife life leadership mentor, and certified Zentangle teacher, and I'm so happy to be here with you. Now, before we dive in, just a quick note. If you are a woman in your 50s or 60s who's starting to feel time differently and you're ready to get clear about what you actually want in your next chapter, I'd love to talk to you. Book a next chapter direction session at www.talktosusie.com. It's a private, focused conversation and a really great place to start. Again, it's www.talktosusie.com. Okay, let's dive in. So it's my birthday month. I think you've heard that. And I'm turning 63. Here's the thing. I am not dreading it, not even a little. Actually, the older I get, the more I notice things that feel like genuine gifts. And I'm not talking about the greeting card version of gifts, especially the little Snoopy figurines and everything that you find in there. So cute. No, I am talking about the real ones. You don't need to go to the Hallmark store to get a real gift. The ones that sneak up on you when you've lived long enough to actually notice them. Now, we live in a culture that treats aging like a problem to manage. There are entire industries built around making you feel like getting older is something to fight or apologize for, or at least hide really well. I know you know what I mean. Industries like skincare, beauty, and advertising in general, that kind of thing. But that's not my experience. And I'm guessing it's not entirely yours either. So today I want to talk about 3 gifts that I've been noticing, and I think you're going to relate to probably at least one of them. But first, a little context about why aging feels the way it does for me specifically. I've outlived both of my parents. My mother was only 32 when she died. My father was only 41. And my sister passed last year at only 52. So when I turn 63 this month, I'm not just marking another year. I am very aware in a personal way that this is time they never got. Aging has never felt like something to resist for me. I think of it as a privilege. Not everyone gets here. And I don't take that lightly. Period. I don't take that lightly. Oh my gosh. So there are gifts. There are gifts I want to talk to you about. Now, the first one is wisdom. I like to think of it as the real kind of wisdom. So I've been noticing this about myself lately. And I don't know, it kind of surprised me a little when I first caught on. I can feel my wisdom growing. Now, I want to be clear about what I mean because there's actually some interesting research on this. Wisdom is not an automatic outcome of getting older. You don't just accumulate it because you've lived a long time. What the research shows is that wisdom develops through reflection, emotional maturity, and a real willingness to grow. So it's available to us, but we have to show up for it. And here's what I've been noticing about what it actually feels like. So what wisdom for me feels like from the inside. It doesn't feel like having more answers. Instead, it feels like needing fewer of them. And this surprised me when I first noticed it because I spent a lot of years collecting ideas and frameworks, Googling everything, all kinds of perspectives. I always wanted more. I always added more information, more tools, more insight. And now something a little different is happening. Things are integrating. The losses I've experienced, the coaching work, the doodling, Zentangle, the life leadership framework, 11 years of conversations with women who are figuring out their next chapters. So things, they just aren't separate anymore. They're becoming one way of seeing. And that, to me anyway, feels like wisdom. So I'm not talking about certainty. I'm talking about integration. So you might be wondering, what does that look like day to day? So here's my favorite example. Get ready. It's very complicated. I keep my mouth shut more than I used to. Now, I mean that in groups, in conversations, in situations where maybe 10 years ago, or for sure 20 years ago, I would have jumped right in. I would have defended my point. I would have offered my perspective, sometimes when nobody asked for it. So now I'm much more likely to watch. I observe. I let things land before I decide whether I have anything worth adding. And before I do actually say something, I've started to ask myself, like I've started this internal conversation already before I open my mouth. Why do I actually want to jump in here? Is it to contribute something useful? Or is it just the old habit of needing to be heard? That pause, that question, that's new. And that's mine. And honestly, it might be one of my favorite things about being this age. Okay, the next gift is clarity about who and what actually matters. So this second gift is a very specific kind of clarity. It's not abstract clarity about life purpose or about the big meaning of life, the big picture stuff. Of course, there's that too, but I'm talking about personal clarity, about people and about time. So when you've watched people you love die too young, something shifts in how you think about the relationships that matter to you. So I have a best friend. I've talked about her on the podcast before. We've known each other since high school. She lives out of town. And for years, because life is so full and so busy, blah, 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 yada, 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 things come up. And we'd talk about getting together and it just wouldn't happen. Like years would go by sometimes. So this year, I made a real commitment to change that. This change actually started when we turned 50. But now that we're both over 60, we don't want to just see each other every couple of years. We really want to work on trying to see each other every year. Not someday. We want it to be scheduled. We want it to be happening. Now, of course, sometimes you have to change the plans, but it's much more on the horizon. Like we're thinking about it on the agenda. It's coming up. That's when it's happening, that sort of thing. That's what this gift looks like in real life. It's not always a grand gesture. It doesn't need to be a big vacation. It's just a decision that says this person matters, this time matters, and I'm done treating it like something I'm going to get to eventually when I'm less busy, when I blah, 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 like who knows what it is that I'm thinking in my mind and what you might be thinking about when you're going to give yourself permission to do that thing, to want that thing. So your version of this might look different, but I'm guessing you know exactly what I'm talking about. So here's gift number 3, simply being alive. Now, this third gift is the most straightforward one, being alive. And I know that sounds obvious, but I mean it in a specific way. At this age and stage, especially when you've lost people you love, there's a recognition that starts to settle in. Now, you might not feel like panicky about it, although every once in a while you might. And I'm not thinking about it in a morbid way. It's just awareness. Awareness that this is the time. Time matters. Not later, but now. And when you actually let that in, rather than pushing it aside, it becomes really clarifying, like it really helps you. It helps you prioritize. It helps you say yes to the things that deserve your time and no to the things that don't. It makes ordinary days feel less ordinary. This is a gift, and I like to call it a real gift. Now, here's what I want to ask you. What are the gifts of getting older that you've noticed in yourself? Not what's harder. It doesn't have to be something harder. It doesn't have to be about something that you lost. What is actually better? It's like we're turning it upside down. What's better? Because you're older. Because I think a lot of women at this age and stage haven't given themselves permission to name those things out loud. We are so conditioned to think about aging as less than, aging as subtraction, what we're leaving, what is changing, what we miss, what is gone. And sometimes we're just so in that we miss something else. We miss what's actually showing up. So the patience that you didn't have at 40, the confidence to say no without a 3-paragraph explanation, the relationships that have survived long enough to become something really solid, the ability to sit with uncertainty without completely spinning out. Now, these aren't tiny, small, insignificant things. These are gifts. And noticing them, really calling them out, claiming them, putting a name to them, that is an act of life leadership. It's the opposite of coasting. It's the opposite of winging. It's choosing to see your life clearly and lead it on purpose. Okay, that's what I have for you today. Now, if this episode resonated and you're ready to do some of that intentional thinking about your own life, your next chapter, what you want, what actually matters to you right now, I would love to help. Just book a next chapter direction session at www.talktosuzy.com. And that is a ZY, talktosuzy, SUZY.com. It's private, it's focused, and it's a really powerful place to start. Hope to see you soon in my Zoom square. So if this episode resonated, please share it with a midlife woman in your life who would get something out of it. A lot of women our age haven't discovered podcasts. They haven't discovered podcasts yet. That's why I like to call them a party in your purse, because it's so much fun just at the click of a button on your phone. If you're enjoying the show, a 5-star review is another way to support the show, to support me, to support the podcast. It goes a long way in helping other women find it too. I read those reviews, don't you? When you're looking to start a new podcast? Absolutely. Being the queen of your brain domain is the best way to be. I always say that because I believe it. It's time to stop waiting and start choosing. Thanks so much for listening today, and I will talk to you next week.